U.S. Senator Cory Gardner found himself in the middle of quite the news day this week. During a campaign rally in West Virginia, President Donald Trump paid Gardner a variety of compliments, which by themselves would likely have not made national headlines. But the fact that the rally and the president's comments came amidst the release of the results of the Manafort trial and comments from Michael Cohen put Gardner on many national cable news feeds. Natasha, I imagine some politicians are about any press is good press. This may or may not have tested that theory, but I'm not one to judge. What do you think?
Well, he will forever be part of Terrible Tuesday or Terrific Tuesday, depending on what your political views are of what happened that particular day. I mean, yes, he was in the frame. He was plastered over every major news network, but he wasn't the main story. He wasn't the person that they were talking about. So I think that by the time this becomes of importance to him, which would be when he's up for re-election, maybe it would be an issue, but we have so many news cycles between now and then. I mean, we have so many, the news is moving at such a rapid pace. I'm not sure that they would even have to address this by the time he's up for a re-election. The bigger question for Colorado politicians is not necessarily that maybe they were lucky they weren't on the plane or at the rally, but the question of how you respond to what happened on Tuesday is of essence right now. So whatever the political game plan was on Monday with your advisors, I bet it was different by Tuesday. It was probably different by Wednesday. It might be different by the time that this broadcasts. It's just the way that things move right now. But for the people who are dealing with this for November, they're going to have to deal with it. I think Gardner will be pretty safe.
Krista, I agree with Natasha that between now and 2020, it'd be shocking if we remember anything from this news cycle, let alone what video we have of Cory Gardner. But Natasha brings up another good point about Republicans currently in Colorado, elected leaders. I see somebody like a Mike Coffman who's facing a pretty steep challenge in his district, probably wanting to be more on the moderate side of things. You have somebody like a Walker Stapleton who's come out, at least in the primary part of the campaign, that he supports President Trump. Where do you see elected and wanting to be elected leaders in the Republican Party coming out on the headlines we saw this week?
I think that Senator Cory Gardner and also Congressman Kaufman had done an excellent job of sort of steering down a middle path. They call out the president when he does bad things, yet they're willing to work with him. They don't alienate Trump supporters, but they also respect us critics. I think they've been very dignified in their opposition, also their willingness to work with the president when it benefits Colorado. So kudos to both of them. I know it's difficult right now. The president's messes, I should say self-imposed messes, continue to amount. But I think these two people, at least I hope, because they've been very dignified and very good for Colorado, I hope that they'll be able to rise above that fray.
Eric, not really worrying about his re-election in 2020, but Cory Gardner has a significant job right now in trying to get other Republican senators elected. And many folks talked about, well, there's not that many that are up for re-election in this particular cycle, so the risk is slighter that the Republicans wouldn't lose the Senate. But it doesn't make his job probably any easier, seeing the headlines he saw on Tuesday. What do you think of the job Cory Gardner has this year when it comes to the election?
Yeah, it's a very tough job. He's operating in a very unfriendly cycle. He's the head, as you were referring to, Dominic, of the National Republican Senate Committee. I think that's the title, but it's the campaign arm of the Senate Republicans. I flash back on Michael Bennet, had a similar position with the Democrats. I believe it was in 2014 or perhaps 2012, but it was also a anti-Obama, tough territory kind of cycle for the Democrats. Now, Cory Gardner has it in a tough cycle for Republicans. On the good news front, he doesn't have that many seats to defend. On the bad news front is their majority is still in jeopardy, which is the reason he was in West Virginia. Joe Manchin, Democratic senator from West Virginia, is one of the top targets. Manchin is personally popular in West Virginia, but I mean, no state loves Donald Trump more than West Virginia, as we saw at that rally on Tuesday. I don't know why Cory Gardner needed to get on that plane. I mean, obviously they're doing everything possible to take out Manchin in West Virginia, but being at a rally where you're not the main attraction, you're not any attraction at all, you're just some other senator from some other state. I don't know what that does for you. Cory Gardner, it strikes me, has actually done a more effective job than some senators at distancing himself from Donald Trump and trying to leverage some power, whether it's on the marijuana issue with Jeff Sessions or others, and not being completely obsequious to Donald Trump. But that was not the impression that you got watching the visuals on Tuesday and watching that rally. I haven't watched a Trump rally in quite some while. I decided to tune that one on. It is an otherworldly experience to watch one of those things from start to finish.
Joey, here we have Cory Gardner in a pivotal role when it comes to the Senate reelection in 2018, looking for his own reelection in 2020. All amidst a constant hurricane we have is the news cycle surrounding our president. What do you take away from what we saw this week?
Well, I don't think Cory pays a price for this. You know, he may be a fool, but he's our fool. All Cory Gardner has to do is stand up in front of an audience and give them that smile, and they're going to love him. He's an exceptional politician, and I don't think this is going to matter. You know, and he can always hearken back to the time that he called President Trump a buffoon. He's done enough to oppose the president, and he's done enough to support the Republican agenda. I don't think he pays a price.